If you're an English fan of the series, you're probably just a smelly, dusty little weeb. On the train and I'm reading this shit, I want people to know that I'm into anime. I just want to read the novel, do you know what I mean? Hello and welcome back to my channel, The Fangirl Mixtape. I'm Tudz and Happy New Year. I haven't uploaded a video to my channel in like a year. I don't have an excuse for that, but I'm back now and that's what matters. And it's a new year and it's a new me, and it's the same backlog, and we're going to curb our spending on books this year. I make no promises for manga, that's a different story, but for books for sure we're going to tackle the backlog before purchasing new books. Kind of flopped on that already because there was a 50% hardback sale at Foyles and Waterstones recently and I kind of went ham. But from this date forward, we are going to curb our spending on books. So January wasn't really a very productive reading month. It was the start of the year. I had all these goals and ambitions, some specific to reading, and it kind of was just a very slow month overall. But yeah, for this video, it's just going to be my February TBR, and we're going to start kind of realistically. I have 4 books here and I hope they're not too ambitious. 2 of them are quite shorter than the books I usually read, so I think that should be promising, and one's a light novel. So the first book on my list is Natives by Akala, and this has been on my bookshelf for like 3 years, maybe, at least 2 years. But with this commitment to actually make a concerted effort to tackle my backlog, I think this is a good place to start. I've always enjoyed watching Akala speak in interviews and on panels and things like that. I think he's a very good orator, and he's really good at explaining complex topics and making it very digestible. I think there's just some people you can just listen to speak for hours and hours, and Akala is definitely one of those people. So in this book, if you don't know anything about it, it's natives, race and class in the ruins of the empire, and it's basically him just taking his own experiences with the education system, with the police, with identity and everything in between. And the blurb says he uses them to look at the social, historical and political factors that have left us where we are today. One thing I do want to focus on in my reading is on Black British history. We're talking about Black history, more like a time books that are American centric. I think it's just important for me to focus on books that cover Black histories across the diaspora. But the only other book I've read recently, and that I also own, that covers Black British history is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. So yeah, that's definitely a reading goal of mine this year. I'm trying not to think of reading goals in terms of like number of books because I always flop. I think in my January TBR for 2021, I said the same thing, saying that, oh yeah, I'm going to read 50 books this year. I've already failed just by saying that. I need to be realistic with myself. I'd rather make specific goals in terms of the genres I want to read, the authors I want to read, and I think if I do at least one of each of those, then in my mind I've succeeded. Second book I have is also another book from my backlog, and this is Notes of a Native Son by James Baldwin. Reading more Baldwin is actually one of my other reading goals for this year, and I thought this was a good place to start. It's an essay collection ranging over Harlem in the 1940s, movies, novels, his preacher father and his experiences of Paris. They capture the complexity of Black life at the dawn of the civil rights movement with effervescent wit and prophetic wisdom. So yeah, I've been meaning to want to read Baldwin for a while, and I think this is a good place to start because another thing I've noticed by myself and my previous reading habits is that I'm someone who's likely to read like 5, 6, 7, 8 books at once and then have very slow progress with each individual book. And I think what I'm going to try and do this year is just focus on one book at a time and see if that makes me have healthier reading habits or more productive reading habits. So I think this is good because if I do slip back into my tendencies of wanting to like start something else, I can read one essay from this and then read another thing in my TBR pile and then come back to this and then like just have this like on standby and see if that helps me. But yeah, very excited to read this one. And next on my TBR we have Lemon by Kwan Yosun. So this is one of the books I got in the Foyles hardback sale, 50% off. I definitely bought this book because of the cover. It's a very pretty cover. And I've also kind of accidentally been reading books specifically by non-white, non-European authors. And then once I realized I was doing that, I wanted to be more deliberate with it. So again, I saw this is obviously a Korean author. So that was another reason for me to pick this up. Also, it's a shorter novel, as you can see, and I just thought this would be helpful in trying to get me out of the reading slump I kind of found myself in the latter half of last year. In the summer of 2002, 19-year-old Kim Hae-on is killed in what becomes known as the high school beauty murder. Two suspects quickly emerge: rich kid Shin Jong-jun, in whose car Hae-on was last seen, and delivery boy Han Manu, who witnessed Hae-on in the passenger seat of Jong-jun's car just a few hours before her death. But when Jong-jun's alibi turns out to be solid and no evidence can be pinned on Manu, the case goes cold. So I think what I can expect from this is a book that's kind of like a character study for the characters in the book, but in the shape of a crime thriller novel. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into this and see what this is all about. I've actually heard of this author before, so I'm hoping that if I do enjoy this, I can like delve deeper into their bibliography and check out some of the other work. And the last book on my TBR for this month is The Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, also known as Modao Zushi. So if you don't know anything about this series, I kind of don't know how to describe it. It's literally the girls that get it, and the girls that don't. My introduction to the series was actually the manhwa. Then I found out afterwards there was actually adapted from a novel, which I have in my hands here, which I found a site that had translated it, perhaps not legally, and I bookmarked it and never started reading. And there's also a live action drama. It's a live action Chinese drama called The Untamed, which isn't a direct adaptation, but it's inspired by the book. Me and my good friend Iffy, aka the Bakahime, we're just checking for news for ages to see if we were ever going to get an official English release, and when we finally did, placed our pre-orders ASAP, got the books. So yeah, no excuse to keep putting this off now. I'm gonna get into this. This is actually the first I was about to lie and say this is the first light novel that I've ever bought, but that's a lie. I just haven't read them yet. I also have Bakano on my manga bookshelf over there. That's my other light novel that I also haven't read yet. I also have Legend of the Galactic Heroes, of which the anime adaptation is my favorite anime of all time. The only thing that disappoints me about this is that if you want to find a picture of the original Chinese edition of the novel, and you can see how pretty and how beautiful the covers for those novels look. It's just a typical kind of Chinese novel design, but I just think it looks so nice. But the English adaptation, they gave us this, I guess because they think if you're going to be reading this, if you're an English fan of the series, you're probably just a smelly, dusty little weeb, so they're going to give you this anime style cover. But I prefer the Chinese one. That's like, if I'm on the train and I'm reading this shit, I want people to know that I'm into anime. I just want to read the novel, do you know what I mean? But it's not me chooses. I'm just happy we got an English release, an official English release. So yeah, this is the last book on my TBR. So that's all the books I'm going to be reading this month. Let me know what you're going to be reading this month in the comments, and holler at me on Instagram, at @thefangirlmixtape, and on Twitter, tudz.exe. If you read or watch Modao Zushi, definitely at me on Twitter. Let's talk about it. If you don't, I recommend that you do. That's it. I am definitely going to be more active on my channel. I can already hear the tomatoes and the brewing, but that is not cap. I'm definitely going to be more active this year on my channel. The real reason why my channel went dead last year is because I just wasn't reading much, but that's definitely me. I'm not going to take that 2021 habit into 2022. So yeah, expect more videos more regularly, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.